So we're taking the business and markets week here on Frontier. Opening bell up for the start of the month of October. Businesses and markets are reopened in Nigeria today after the Monday's Independence National Holiday. So the market will be reopening today with the NGX down 1.44% last week. A very nail-biting August into September, but the market still on track on the NGX, up roughly 29% since the start of the year. One of the best performing stock markets on the African continent. That's the NGX. In the BRVM, the market saw a dive of 32 basis points on Monday to start the week, 209 to 92. Heading into the end of September, the BRVM, the Côte d'Ivoire stock market for the 8 French-speaking countries in West Africa was up reading about 211 on the composite. Now it's down to 209 level. Let's see what today brings. The Egyptian stock market down by 0.8% as President Al-Sisi says he's throwing his heart into the ring for yet another term for the elections that will be taking place in December. The country is going through a very crunching economic times as we speak. But the president is likely to win, according to economists and other pollsters. Let's look at the Nairobi stock market, up for a 0.32% on Monday. That was a turnaround that wasn't really expected. The Kenya stock market seen a dive this week, one of the worst performing in terms of these returns since the start of the year. The Nairobi stock market is down about 25% since the start of the year. Sell-off by international investors and a very negative sentiment, soft sentiment by local investors in the President Ruto's economy. He took office about a year ago as the new president of East Africa's largest economy, and the stock market being base forming the bottom of the pyramid since then. The GSE fell 1.6% on Monday, in line with the rest of the developed markets. The dollar came back very strongly. Upside on Monday, Treasury yields in the US 10-year climbed as well to about 4.6%. Then you got risky assets taking a hit, as we saw gold prices and oil prices tank on Monday. Today, the markets globally will be taking a look at a raft of economic data. We saw the Eurozone manufacturing data at a very tepid 45 reading on Monday. So not a very good start in the manner of speaking to the month of October. That's taking us to the fourth quarter of the year. Let's take that out. Look at the East Africa's top stories starting this Tuesday, the second markets day of the week. The Kenya has joined the PAPSS, that the Pan-African Payment Settlement System. The signing came in just in the final days of late last week. That was late of September. The PAPSS, headquartered in Accra, Ghana, that payment system, which is tied, closely linked with the new intra-Africa trade, or the AFCFTA. Inflation came in at 6.8% on Monday, and today, Dr. Kamal Tuje, the new central bank governor, will be reading the decisions of the Monetary Policy Committee later in the day. Keep an eye on that. The higher sugar prices hurting Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania because sugar prices are heading higher around the world. Sugar prices are now at highly elevated level, and consumers in these 4 African countries are among the worst hit on the African continent. In Central African Republic, DR Congo's parliament has approved the 2024 $16.6 billion draft budget. And of course, Trident OGX of Congo has secured $300 million from Afrexim Bank to ramp up its oil production within the country, the DRC. And the Development Bank of Rwanda is floating its first sustainable bond. $24 million is the size of that sustainable bond on the market street. Let's take you all the way straight to West Africa and Nigeria, where an agreement was reached late yesterday. Memorandum of understanding between the labor unions suspending their planned indefinite strike for another 30 days. It was expected to start today to shut down the country. Late yesterday evening, Maritime Workers Union directed its workers in the oil and gas platforms and across the maritime sector to resume for duties today. Said the strike initially planned has been suspended. President Tinubu's administration is throwing a few palliatives on the labor leaders' laps, and that's been taken up and now it's been suspended. The strike has been suspended for another 30 days. Taiwo Oyedele is the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Matters, and he says the committee is looking at making some recommendations that the Nigeria needs some constitutional changes, in particular in areas such as who's responsible for tax collection in the country. It's the matter before the courts, and Taiwo Oyedele told Arise News on Monday night that may not be the end of the situation because the Constitution need to make a finality on that. So despite whatever the decision of the Supreme Court will be, the Constitution still needs to change in that respect and a few areas. He spoke extensively on the one-year presidential committee and how the Tinubu's administration is working on tax reforms as well as fiscal policies that goes to the heart of the Nigeria's economy. Nigeria's former oil minister, Diezani Alison Madueke, has appeared in a London court on Monday. The EFCC says it secured an extradition document against the former oil minister, and that could enable her to be brought back to Nigeria to face similar charges of corruption, bribery, while she was the oil minister. And OPEC chief Al Ghaiz is optimistic that global oil demand will continue into 2023 to the end. We've got 3 months to go, and then into next year, 2024. He was speaking at the ADIPEC summit in Abu Dhabi. Angola's economy grew by 0.2% in the second quarter because oil industry construction eased off a little bit. And the central bank for the CEMAC region, which is Central African Republic, which is the BEAC, is looking at the creation of its own digital currency, while fuel prices jump in Côte d'Ivoire. Let's touch on South Africa. Of course, we've got some bittersweet numbers because the country's ABSA PMI data came in yesterday, independent, showing that the most advanced economy on the continent, manufacturing index was 45.5 in September, down from 49.7 in the month of August. Bloomberg's estimate was the 49.5 forecast. That means there's a contraction continuing in that economy. In the meantime, the South Africa's policy uncertainty index falls to 71.8. That's good news, by the way. And Blue Carbon inks $1.8 billion deal with Zimbabwe on carbon credits, while Namibia's economy grew 3.75% in the second quarter ended June this year against 8.7%, much more robust in 2022, similar period. Fuel prices surging again in Namibia. All that in the news as we start the new business week. Let's finish up in North Africa, where Tunisia, according to reports this morning, has rejected $133 million money from the European Union seeking to put money in Tunisia's pocket. President Al-Said's administration in order to reduce migration from Tunisia across the Mediterranean into Europe. That's been reported this morning. I talked about sugar prices earlier and how it's hurting consumers in East Africa. In terms of imports, Algeria, Morocco, Egypt, and Nigeria have seen a slowdown to about 1%, down 1% in terms of sugar imports between the first 8 months of this year, that's January to August. And Morocco's economy grew 2.3% in the second quarter, according to the latest GDP. And the Egyptian Stock Exchange is launching digital registry for listed investor relations offices for companies listed on the Egyptian exchange. Oriental Weavers sold about 0.7% stake in the National Bank of Kuwait of Egypt. And that's also in the news as we're starting the new. Tunisia is extending drinking water quota system and a ban on agriculture use. The country is managing its water system as we speak. Those are the headlines right now. We'll start in a very busy week. Keep your eyes out today for the Kenya's central bank rate decision as well as Nigeria's PMI. We've got a whole lot more in the box for the week. Have a great day, everyone, and welcome to our business day.